Hi everyone, well you've joined me as I'm working on the FMS HS123. A couple of things to note, it is showing its age. So if we start here, these are the bottom wings and these pieces aren't really glued on anymore. The glue just fell off. But that's no biggie, they're both here. So I'll be gluing those back on. Everything else on here seems okay. Servos are okay, I've given them a test. And the hinging on the flaps are okay. I don't know if you're aware that these aren't ailerons on the lower wing, they're actually flaps. The ailerons are on the top wing. And I've checked the hinging on these and they're all good, it's all good. That's not too bad, that lower wing. I took the motor out just to give it a good check. And I noticed this has got a 35 amp speed controller in it. Now the manual says it's got a 30 amp, but it's actually got a 35. It's a 35 amp, I'm going to replace it for an E-Flight 40 amp, just to be on the safe side. And speaking of manuals, you can tell this is old school FMS because the manual is atrocious. It's in Chinglish, it's really bad. And the assembly of this is not good. If you were to follow the manual, by the time you're finished you can't take the bottom wings off because of the way they connect these up. So these wings come with spars in them. This mount, there's another mount that goes here. The reason it's not on, and the same as this wing here, and indeed the tank in the middle, is once you put them on you can't get at anything. The servo wire for the upper wings comes through this hole and it will run under this second mount, and that means you can't disconnect the wing because you can't unthread the wire to the point where you can push it through this hole and down here like this. So I can see the logic now why the person who assembled this left those out. This is your battery compartment. It's very slim. I tried to get a 2200 in there, found it really hard. And I've even noticed that again the person who had this before me actually cut some of this off. But even so, the battery I can get in here is an 1800, which is meant for. I could cut some of the foam off and lower the battery to get a 2200 in it. We'll have to see. The cowl, well, as I said, it was showing its age. It's got, I don't know what it is, it's not craving, it's just marks all around it. So I bought a new cowl, I've got a new one coming. Yeah, so I've got that to do. The prop's fine. If not, again, a little mucky. So, but I'll check its balance. The not so good news are the ailerons. And what I've found is that the hinge on the aileron up to about here has deteriorated. So there's hinge here, but there's nothing over here. You can see. So I'll be repairing that with a foam tack and making a foam tack hinge. Then on the underside I'll also use, I call it Scotch tape, I think it's called Derma tape. I'm going to do that on both ailerons. And as I said in part one, these were crushed upwards. You can see it's obvious. Plane must have slipped and these were crushed upwards. So I will be foam tacking these back. And then I've already ordered some This part of the rudder is not supposed to have a hinge, and you can see that because it's quite a big gap. The hinge on the rudder is perfectly alright, and the hinge on the elevator is perfectly alright. It just seems that the hinge on the ailerons is not. I just want to get a bit along there. Now the receiver, because I had a receiver that I've never heard of in my life. So the receiver is this 6-channel Saturn, 2.4 gig, but I've never heard of it. This is coming out, and I'll be using probably a lemon stabilised receiver in it. According to the chat rooms, FMS have put weights in here, and I can see them. There's actually a weight on this side and a weight on this side, but I've been told you might have to add more weights. But there is a cavity just down there, there's a cavity down here, and also I've seen on a forum someone has put weights on the bottom of this cowl, because there's plenty of space once this is on at the front. There's still space in there to have some weight around it. Yeah, so it's quite good. A few bits and pieces to do, but then it'll be ready. So let me get on, start doing some gluing. While I've got it like this, I've decided I'm going to popper dot this one, because it's got some super panel lines. So I thought, why not? Why not popper dot it? And this will be getting a lacquer coat all over it. The front piece here, these black lines, they're there because the air vents in this plastic front, you're going to get white bits showing through. So what they've done, they've gone in there with a brush and just brushed the white over. So what I'll probably do is just mask that off and spray the whole lot black. Okay, I've stuck these two on. I've connected the flaps up, and it's really interesting because these servos are positioned for flaps and they're slowed down. So if you watch this, this is on my servo tester. So they both work fine. They are Metal Gear. So I'm wondering if the gentleman who had this has replaced these. But they are Metal Gear servos. Very nice. So that bit's basically repaired. We just needed these bits adding on. I used this Chinese glue. Do not underestimate that if you get it in a kit. I get these with Dynam kits. It's really good stuff. So that's done. But I will be using foam tack for my aileron repair. So what I've done, I've got this huge box full of multi-sorted elastic bands, and I've just put 2 bands over the aileron part that I'm gluing. That's actually daylight in there, look. See? It's actually daylight. Look. So I'm going to put this one back as well now. Right, so I've got the ailerons gluing. I thought while that's drying I'd show you the speed controller I'm going to be putting in it. This is E-Flight 40 amp with Beck. It's got one of these EC3s on the end, so I'll be cutting that off and put it on an XT60. Wanted to show you what I decided to do here. I was going to stick this one here, this bomb mount, in using double-sided tape, so should anything happen and I need to take the servo wire out, I could pull it out. And I thought, well, yeah, but that might not be particularly good. Then I tried to mount them with Velcro, and Velcro's, it just won't bite because it's too thin. So I've actually glued them in. But what's supposed to happen is the wires for the servo are supposed to come out and go straight across here. So all I've done is made an S. So the wire comes up through the strut, and instead of just going straight over, it does a double U, and then it carries on, which means I'll put a little extension on round about to the insides of the wheels. But what that now means is, of course, they're glued in, I can put my bombs on, and I don't have to be concerned about the servo wires. And if I do need to unthread the wires so I can take this wing off, all I do is slide these forward, and there it is, ready to just be pulled out and drop down through the hole. And of course I've done that on the other side as well.